Listen, the ACC won't let Stanford, Cal, and SMU as an addition die, right? It gets voted down. They're like, whoa, that wasn't an official vote. Let's talk about it again. They won't let it go away. So guess what? It's time for Carolina and State to get greedy. They've waited long enough. They are the last no votes. They're the swing votes is what they are, right? We've heard the report from ESPN. 11 teams have voted yes to welcoming or offering an invitation to Stanford and Cal, and 4 teams voted no. That includes State and Carolina. They are the swing votes. It only takes one of them to pivot and go the other way, and Stanford and Cal are in, and we assume SMU, similar trajectory. They're the last no votes. It's time to get greedy, little selfish, if you're Carolina and State. And we have learned that, or we assume that they're moving as kind of a pair due to their state relationship, meaning with the government of the state. This is what they are. This is what State and Carolina are when it comes to the ACC. They are, every once in a while you hear a story, and it's usually New York City or some other big metropolitan where a developer is buying up an entire building, like a skyscraper, and they intend to either knock it down and build an even bigger skyscraper, or they intend to renovate it and turn it into $40 million penthouses. And there's always one older couple, maybe it's just one older person, that owns, a third-floor, 1,200 square foot apartment, and everybody else in the entire building has sold their condo to this developer except for them. So they sell their little 1,200 square foot apartment for like $25 million because they know that the developer can't make any money off of the rest of their investment, knocking it down and rebuilding it if they don't sell. That's State and UNC. You're the last holdouts on the neighborhood. You're the last ones that haven't voted yes. You're the swing votes. So look at the other 11 teams that voted yes and say, if you want me to join the crowd, if you want me, meaning State and Carolina, if you want us to join the yeses, what can you do for me? Give us the equivalent of your $25 million offer for our 1,200 square foot apartment. The ACC is, again, seriously considering the potential additions of Stanford, Cal, and SMU, multiple sources told ESPN yesterday. Series of meetings will be held this week to further vet and discuss different financial models that would come with the additions, sources said. Okay, well, what does UNC and NC State want? We heard at the top of the show, Pete Thamel tell us that you have to figure out what you would do with that $55 million, right? If you welcome these teams in, you're going to have a $55 million per year slush fund. Well, if I'm NC State and Carolina, I'm looking at the rest of the yes votes and saying, we'll give you a yes, but I want a little bit more say into what we do with some of that $55 mil. If I'm Carolina, I'm saying, you know what? It's nice, right? Performance-based. We're probably going to give a lot of that 55 to maybe the top team or top couple of teams in football, right? That should appease, in part, Florida State and Clemson and some of these others. I want $5 million going to the conference basketball champion because as the Tar Heels, I win that one more often than I win the football side of things. So I want to get rewarded for that. If you want me to vote yes, $5 million to the basketball champion. UNC wants a payout? Fine. Find a way to get yourself a payout. NC State wants what? Well, they want to find a way to get themselves the most of that $55 million per year. Same as Carolina. So I did some research. State is top 5 from 2022 in in-person attendance in the ACC. Despite having the 8th biggest stadium, they're top 5 in in-person attendance. So I'd probably go, hey, top 5 in in-person attendance gets $1.5 million each. Part of this $55 million slush fund. If you want my yes vote, if you want me to welcome them in, that's what you got to do.
Well, for them, it'd probably be even more of a guarantee if you did percentage of your
even
stadium.
More so.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because I'm sure there's probably I don't know all the stadium sizes, but like, well, wait a second, we can only be, if everyone sells out every game, we can only be 6th or whatever, however that might work out. So.
Or how about this?
That being said.
Exactly. And I get what you're saying. And that's the thinking that they need. They need to find whatever stat you're the best at.
Use it.
say that's where the payouts are going.
Yeah.
Right? NC State, I actually thought this was a little surprising, but maybe I shouldn't have been. According to medium.com, NC State and UNC football last year were number 3 and 4 in average TV rating in the ACC.
Props.
So maybe you look around and say, hey, top 5 in TV ratings gets you just chop up the 50. They each get 11 million. If you want my yes vote, that's what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is where State and Carolina can benefit from the fact that they were willing to hang out on the no side of things. You can be the last holdout, and the last holdout usually gets the biggest deal, right? It happens. It's actually kind of frustrating, right? If everybody has, I don't know, like one gizmo, well, we're just picking a unit, right? Like one gizmo, the first one that sells might sell it for $10, but when you only have one remaining, it might go for 100, and you're going, wait a second, I just sold it for 10. Just you hung on longer. State and Carolina, guess what? Everybody in the ACC right now is out for number 1. Everybody. Well, I guess with State and Carolina, it's kind of out for 1A and 1B because you're linked together by forces beyond your control, right? Carolina can't go anywhere without State. So look out for yourself. Go get something. Right? I don't like if you're Carolina, hey, whoever sells the most shoe apparel gets an extra $2 million out of the slush fund. Why? Well, I mean, Jordan has something to do with it, but they don't need to know that. Like those are the things that you can use now, because somebody in the ACC is spending a lot of political capital. They're calling in a lot of favors. They're asking a lot of meetings. They're doing a lot of persuading to keep this situation alive. Right? They did the straw poll. They couldn't get it across the finish line, yet somehow every couple days it's still brought up, which means those 11 teams that voted yes, some portion of them are very, very desperate to get Stanford, Cal, and maybe SMU into the ACC. So look at them and go, how desperate are you? You can have my yes vote, but you're going to have to promise me some things. If everyone's worried about travel, why don't State and Carolina look at the ACC, go, yeah, I'll vote yes, but we're not going to California for 5 years. They're always coming to us. Every sport. Except for golf. Golf wants to go to California.
Well, of course.
Everybody else, you got to come to us. I don't really like Texas. We're not going to SMU. Like, why? You have the power. Without State or Carolina flipping, because I don't see Clemson or FSU doing it at all. Without one of you flipping to yes, it doesn't happen. So find the desperation in other ACC members and say, all right, I think there's a back scratching situation where you have an itch on your back and I have an itch on my back. Let's see if we can scratch them. Right, let's see if you can make my life easier, and in turn, I'll do what you want when it comes to voting. Just became a lot more interesting, didn't it? These conversations are happening. Throw your weight around a little bit. Maybe, right? This is a big maybe. Maybe just spit your piece, hang up the Zoom.
Yeah.
The equivalent of a mic drop in 2023.
Make them call you back.
Make them call you back. If only you could. If only we had old phones on receivers, so you could actually like, rather than tap boop.
Just check that caller ID.
Yeah, exactly.